for more Klan meetings. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I have, actually.
That's just sick. I mean, really, people, really, first it was we are worse than Ebola. Then we were worse than ISIS.
But if you vote
now we're going back to Klan. A vote for a Republican is a vote for the Klan.
Which was a Democrat institution. You know,
they always leave that part out. And the fact that it was Democrats that stood in the way of the civil rights movement, they just conveniently forget that information.
They forget that it was a Republican that signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
Don't want to talk about that. They say that times have changed and the parties have flipped. Really?
Right.
Really? No, I think that the Democrats' policies are finally getting some light shown on them.
The Democrat contempt for the black voter is now on full display when they're sitting there telling them, if you don't vote for a Democrat, the Klan's going to come and get you.
Oh, or the First Lady even. The First Lady this morning said, don't even think about it. You know, don't think about what anybody said or what anybody's done. Just go and vote Democrat. And then go home and enjoy some fried chicken. Now, that wasn't racist and demeaning at all, First Lady. Wow.
The woman
You're awesome.
We've been telling people this whole time, this lady has no class whatsoever.
She has brought more shame to the title First Lady than anybody in our history, I think. And I'm sorry, but I think Ben Stein got it absolutely 100% right when he said on TV the other night that as far as he's concerned, President Obama has been the most racist president that we've ever had. I think that was an astute observation. Now, he got a spanking this morning from Whoopi over there on The View.
Whoopi?
Yeah, he got a good spanking from her, said that he ought to be, you know, he's better than that. He's smarter than that. When, I'm sorry, but the evidence...
Well, he's definitely smarter than Whoopi Goldberg.
I think he is racist all the way around. I think he hates everybody that's part of the human race that isn't in his immediate circle. So I think he could be the most racist because he hates everybody. He obviously hates the black population. I mean, look at what he's done to their unemployment and the number of African Americans who are on food stamps now versus 4 years ago or 6 years ago. Excuse me.
Economics aside, because it's been shown Democrats aren't interested in anything that involves economics.
Well,
okay.
Yeah.
So let's just look at how many black people have died under Barack Obama's tenure, just in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, and he don't like white people either. He doesn't like Asians. He doesn't like anybody that's a member of the human race.
Well, he's sort of okay with Hispanics, though.
Only if they're here illegally.
Yeah, because a lot of those...
the American citizens, no, he ain't got nothing for them. Even if they happen to be Hispanic, he got nothing for them.
And if you're immigrating here or attempting to immigrate here from another country and go through the legal process... He really doesn't care about you.
He's got no use for you whatsoever. So if you're thinking about coming to America, let me go ahead and suggest that you come through Central America and up through Mexico, because then you're almost guaranteed entry into the country. Because they're pouring in still to this, right now, they're still pouring across the border every day. And after this election, the president's made it very, very clear that he really does hate the human race here in this country, because he's going to, I see, blanket amnesty roughly about 4 or 5 million, all in one fell swoop. Just to say, up yours, America.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be the only reason behind it. I mean, it's not like he's doing this out of some sort of sense of compassion, because if it was true compassion, he would be focusing on, like, the American homeless. I mean, if he's looking to give somebody a home and give somebody a shot at the American dream, you would think he would start here in his own country with people who are citizens that might need some help.
Or how about a veteran?
No, he's already shown his contempt for the veterans. He couldn't even be bothered to make a phone call to the Mexican president over one of our citizens. Just one.
Well, because he was a veteran.
Yeah. And because I don't think it'd be too much of a stretch to say because he was a veteran, he had no use for him. None.
Well, it certainly wasn't going to make an effort on behalf of Sergeant Tamarisi.
And thank God that a Mexican judge finally did what our own president and State Department couldn't do. And wouldn't do, yeah. Went ahead and got him turned loose, and he's back home now. You know, this administration has shown its contempt for just about everybody. I think he is the most racist. He's the most classist. He is the most divisive president this country has ever seen. I thought Richard Nixon was divisive.
Well, you're right about most, but you are leaving out the one way in which he seems to have united the country.
All right.
The vast majority of the citizenry now sees Obamacare as the giant fraud that it really is.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's still a few hangers-on out there who lucked out and got some health insurance. Of course, none of them are really, really old.
And they didn't really get to keep their doctors, you know, in a lot of cases. It's over 200,000 doctors have opted out of the Obamacare system. Over 200,000. That's a staggering number, man. And I don't think that number is through growing yet either.
You know, it's funny. Moving to a slightly different topic, I want to go back to some of these political ads. The Democrats probably are going to not do so well because all their ads that I've seen, without exception, this time were attack ads. Now, number one, if that's all you got, then you obviously don't care about policy. But the out-and-out deception. Here's one for our longtime listeners who can think their way out of a wet paper bag. Last night I saw one for a state office here, and they were talking about how it was the guy who's running against our Governor Bentley. Governor Bentley's a Republican. This Democrat's running against him. And one of the sentences in there that just sent my blood pressure through the roof was that the state of Alabama, under Governor Bentley, has bought companies to set up shop in Alabama. And when he's talking about that, he's talking about the tax breaks that the state gave to companies like Remington to come into our country. Now, to say that the state bought them, yeah, the state gave tax breaks to some really large companies like Remington and Airbus. Those companies also brought thousands of jobs into the state, and that is a typical Democrat. In other words, the state has a right to all this tax money instead of putting it into the pockets of people. The citizens, no, y'all shouldn't be getting to keep that. We need to tax the crap out of these corporations so that the state government will have big piles of money in its coffers.
Yeah, we also had an amendment on our ballot that was to set up some kind of capital trust for capital improvements. We don't need y'all don't need no more money set aside that has anything to do with y'all being in Montgomery. Y'all need to be
Well,
away from Montgomery and in your respective districts, driving around, pressing the flesh.
how about talking to the business owners, people who have jobs or would have jobs if they weren't being taxed all over the place?
Go out and check some of the results of your policies.
Or how about, going out and talking to some of these business owners and finding out just exactly how much the EPA has been all up in their business
Well,
and is keeping businesses not just keeping businesses from starting up here in the state, but shutting down some of the great employers that have been employing people for nearly 100 years in this state had to shut down because of the EPA.
again, that's more federal slamming there.
Well, hey, man, when you've got people at the state level who will not fight on your behalf, it brings that federal business right and dumps it right on our front door.
But see, that's one of those instances where take a midterm like this, and if by some miracle that landslide happens and the Republicans gain control of the Senate and they keep control of the House, that's where the EPA could get some act right put on them. That could be, the House controls the purse strings.
Yes, the House controls the purse strings. The Senate, though, does have to approve of everything, and if they're not going to, if the Republicans gain a majority in the Senate and they don't boot Mitch McConnell out as majority leader,
that ain't going to happen.
What good will it do?
Well, see, that's sort of been my point all along about this particular midterm. I don't have a lot of faith that, win or lose, that there's going to be a whole lot done. I mean, I've heard that should the Republicans take back the Senate, that one of the first things they're going to do is, try to repeal Obamacare. That ain't going to happen.
Not as
the
long.
president's going to veto that right off the bat. Now, of course, they can send it back through 2 more times.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, see, the thing is, they probably, if they get 51 seats, they'll have enough Democrats to give them support that they can actually override a presidential veto if Mitch McConnell was actually interested in repealing Obamacare. Remember when he was talking about tearing it out, root and branch?
Oh, yeah.
A long time? And then, but when it came up to a vote, where Ted Cruz and others were filibustering, and Mitch McConnell and John McCain and those old guard Republican guys said, "Oh, what are you doing? You're going to make us unpopular. Stop. I might get unelected because of you."
Yeah.
So as long as those old cats are still in there, Marty, this is starting to sound kind of like a doom and gloom sort of show because,
well, look, man, the name of the show is Honest Answer, not I'm going to try to make you feel good answer.
Right.
I mean, I would love to come out with some good news that, this is just the first step in turning our country around. If we didn't have an election coming up in 2016 that would essentially nullify this one. I mean, it's
because if you're sitting out there right now and you think that Mitch McConnell cares about you, or John McCain cares about you,
oh man, give me a break.
Those cats are still sitting in the catbird seat,
and that's why last week, a week ago tonight, I stood here and told how sick to death of politics I really am. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't matter. At this point, right now, on November the 4th, 2014, it really doesn't matter how this midterm comes out. Not really going to be a lot of change there. The change that we need, in this country, it starts with the voters themselves, inside. Like, we've got to, I hate to sound so